The human ship drifted through the silent void. Its engines hummed softly, the only sound in the endless black. The crew of 7 sat tense, staring at the glowing screen that pulsed with a faint distress signal. No other ship had answered. No other species dared to come near this dead sector. But humans, curious and stubborn, had followed the call. The planet appeared out of the darkness like a ghost. It had no sun, no warmth, only a dull glow from broken moons above. Ash clouds swirled over its surface, and ruins stretched across the land like bones of giants. Captain Alara narrowed her eyes, her voice steady but uneasy. "This is it?" "The signal is coming from there," she said. The crew exchanged worried looks. They had heard stories of this place, whispers of an ancient monster that no fleet could kill, a beast that destroyed armies and left galaxies trembling. Still, the humans descended. Their shuttle pierced the heavy clouds and landed on cracked stone near the ruins. Dust rose around them, choking the air. Each step they took echoed across the dead city. Strange symbols were carved on every wall, telling stories of battles long past. The crew walked carefully, their lights cutting through the thick shadows. Then they heard it, a deep sound like stone grinding against stone. The ground trembled as if the planet itself was alive. From the darkness between 2 broken towers, something stirred. 2 glowing eyes opened. Burning like fire, the crew froze, their hearts pounding. Out of the shadows stepped the alien monster. Its body was vast, scales like black armor, claws sharp enough to cut metal. Its teeth glistened in the dim light, and its roar shook the ruins for a moment. The crew thought this was the end. Weapons were raised, breaths held, every human ready to die. But then something strange happened. The monster stopped, it stared at them. Its glowing eyes locked not with rage but with fear. It stepped back, claws scraping the stone, its chest rising and falling as if it struggled to breathe. The humans looked at each other in confusion. Why would such a creature hesitate? Why would it fear them? Captain Alara raised her hand, signaling the crew to hold fire. Her voice was calm, but her heart raced. "Wait. Look at it. It's afraid," she whispered. The monster growled low, but it did not strike. Its tail thrashed, smashing broken walls, yet still it did not move closer. The ruins shook around them, but the crew stood their ground. Even in fear, they refused to run. The alien let out a strange sound. Not a roar, not a growl, but words. Its voice was deep, broken, like thunder in the distance. "Not again," it rumbled. "Not humans. Never humans." The crew froze in shock. It could speak. It knew who they were. The alien lowered its head, its massive body trembling, as if a memory had returned from long ago, a memory that filled it with terror. The silence stretched. Heavy and unnatural, the humans waited, unsure whether to attack or retreat, but the monster did not move closer. Instead, it backed away into the shadows, its eyes still fixed on them. It vanished behind the ruined towers, leaving only the sound of stone cracking under its weight. The crew stood in the ruins, their weapons still raised, but their hands shook not from fear of death, rather from the strange truth they had just witnessed. The galaxy's most feared monster was afraid of them. Whispers spread among the crew, their voices low. "How can this be?" one muttered. "Why would it fear us?" No one had an answer. Even the captain felt her chest tighten with unease. They had come seeking to answer a distress signal, but instead they had found a secret so strange and heavy it pressed down on them like the dark sky above. If the alien feared humans, there had to be a reason. Something buried in the past, something more dangerous than they could imagine. The ground shook again in the distance. The monster's roar echoed across the ruins, but it did not return. It was retreating, escaping, as if the humans themselves were the real danger. The crew stood in silence. The captain whispered the words that none of them wanted to hear. "If this beast is afraid of us, then what have we humans truly done?" The ruins swallowed her voice. The shadows deepened, and the mystery of human fear had only just begun. The humans returned to their ship in silence. Their hearts still raced with the memory of the monster's eyes that did not burn with hunger, but with fear. It was a thought too strange, too heavy for the mind to hold. How could such a beast, a terror of the stars, tremble before fragile humans inside the command room? Captain Alara studied the old distress beacon. It still pulsed, steady, as if calling them deeper into the ruins. Her crew sat around the table, their faces pale in the dim light. One of them, a young engineer named Kai, finally broke the silence. "Captain, what if the signal was never a trap?" he said. What if it was a warning? The words settled over them like dust in the air. No one could answer, no one dared. Ilara made her decision. We are not leaving. Not yet, she said, her voice firm. The alien knows us, it fears us, and that means there is a story buried here. Her words carried weight, and even in fear the crew nodded, for humans had always been seekers of truth. Even if the truth led them into danger, the next day they returned to the ruins. Their lights shone against broken statues and shattered walls. And there, half buried in the rubble, they found something strange, a chamber, sealed with heavy stone doors marked with alien script. Kai's hands trembled as he brushed the dust away. These symbols, they are not warnings, they are records, he whispered. Together they pushed the doors open. The sound of stone cracking echoed through the ruins like thunder. Inside the chamber the air was thick and dry. Strange machines sat in silence, broken by time. Holographic pillars lined the room, their surfaces glowing faintly. Ilara touched one and the chamber came alive. Blue light filled the walls and images began to form. The crew gasped, their eyes wide. They saw a war so massive it stretched across stars. Armies of alien races united, their fleets burning in the sky. And in the center of the destruction was the monster they had seen. It tore ships apart, crushed soldiers by the thousands. It was a weapon, a beast of fear unleashed upon the galaxy. But then the images shifted, the monster stood trembling, its body torn, its eyes wide, and before it stood humans, not with great weapons, not with vast armies, but with fire in their eyes and defiance in their hearts. The records showed ancient humans standing against the beast, unyielding, unbroken, and the monster had fallen back, defeated not by power but by courage. The crew could not believe it, Kai whispered. This is impossible. Humans were never here, this war. It is older than our history. Ilara stared at the images, her hand tight against the glowing pillar. No, Kai, she said, her voice low. Maybe our history is not as small as we think. The chamber shifted again. Another image appeared. The alien monster chained, bound in darkness. Its masters had sealed it here, forcing it to guard the ruins for eternity. But carved into the walls beside the beast were words of fear. Beware the humans, the alien script read, for they are the only enemy the beast cannot defeat. The room fell silent. The crew could hear only the sound of their own breathing. The truth was now clear. The monster was not afraid of weapons, nor ships, nor death. It feared the spirit of mankind itself. Suddenly the chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Cracks spread across the stone. The monster's roar thundered through the ruins once more. The crew rushed outside, their lights swinging wildly in the dark. And there it stood again, the alien beast, its glowing eyes fixed on them. Its voice was a low growl, broken but clear. You should not have seen this, it said. You awaken memories that should stay buried. The crew raised their weapons, their hearts hammering, but Ilara stepped forward, her voice firm though her hands trembled. What are we to you? She demanded. Why do you fear us? The monster's eyes narrowed, its body shaking as if torn by war inside itself. You are the fire that never dies, it said slowly. You are the storm that breaks chains. Its claws dug deep into the ground, sparks flying. I have faced armies, gods, and kings, it growled, but humans do not break. The air trembled with its words. The ruins seemed smaller, weaker before the weight of the truth. The humans exchanged looks of fear and pride. They were only 7 explorers on a forgotten world. Yet their kind carried a shadow so great that even monsters of legend trembled. The alien roared once more, its voice filled with rage and despair. Leave this world, it demanded, or awaken the chains that bind me still. The ground split beneath their feet. Dust rose into the air, and the crew realized they were standing on the edge of something far bigger. Not just a secret, not just a story, but a truth that could change the galaxy. Ilara held her ground, her voice cold as steel. No, she said. We will not leave until we know everything. The alien's eyes widened. Glowing brighter, its body shook with fury, but deep inside, still with fear. And as the ruins rumbled and shadows deepened, the humans understood one thing. They had uncovered the secret of the past. But the true danger had only just begun. The ruins lay silent after the monster's roar, but the silence was heavy, like a breath held too long. The humans stood close together, weapons raised, their hearts pounding. Captain Ilara's eyes never left the shadows where the beast had vanished. Her voice was steady but low. It fears us. Yet it will not let us go, the crew whispered among themselves. Some wanted to retreat, to escape the cursed planet. But others, driven by curiosity, wanted answers. Why did the monster call humans the fire that never dies? What secret did it carry in its trembling voice? The decision was made by the captain. "We are staying," Alara said, her tone sharp. "This creature remembers something from the past, something about us, and we must know why." Her words silenced every argument, because though they were afraid, they also knew. Humans had always been seekers of truth, even when truth was dangerous. That night, the crew set up a base in the ruins. The wind howled through broken towers, carrying whispers that sounded almost alive. Strange lights flickered in the distance, and sometimes they heard heavy footsteps circling them. The monster was watching, testing, waiting, but it did not strike. In the deep hours of the night, Kai could not sleep. He walked near the edge of the ruins, his lantern shaking in his hands. That was when he saw it. The beast, sitting in the shadows like a mountain, its glowing eyes fixed not on him but on the sky above. Kai froze, every instinct telling him to run. But the alien did not move. Instead it spoke, its voice a deep rumble. "You do not understand what you are," it said. Kai's breath caught in his chest. He whispered back, "Then tell me." The beast's head turned, its massive eyes burning into his soul. "I have fought countless species," it growled. "They broke, they screamed. They begged for life." Its claws scraped the stone as it leaned closer. "But when I fought humans, they did not break." Its voice shook, not with rage, but with something darker, fear. They looked at me with eyes that held no end. No surrender, no death. Kai's skin turned cold. He wanted to run, but he could not move. The monster's words pressed against his chest like iron chains. They carried nothing, it said. No weapons strong enough. No armies big enough. But they had something more terrible. They had the will to fight even when hope was gone. Its voice trembled. And I could not win against that. The air grew thick. And Kai felt his knees weaken. For the first time, he understood. The beast was not telling a story of glory. It was confessing a nightmare. A nightmare carved into its memory for eternity. Before Kai could answer, the ground shook. The alien rose to its full height, towering above him like a mountain. Its eyes flared bright and its voice became a roar. "Go back to your kind," it thundered. "Tell them they should not be here." And then it vanished into the night, leaving Kai trembling in the cold dust. When he returned to the crew, his face was pale. He told them everything. His words shaking, Alara listened carefully, her jaw tight, her eyes filled with fire. "So it fears us not because of what we have, but because of what we are," she said. Her voice carried both pride and unease. The crew nodded, some with courage, others with fear, because the truth was now clear. The monster was not guarding ruins, it was guarding a memory. The next day, they explored deeper into the city. In the heart of the ruins, they found another chamber. Its walls glowed faintly, and inside were carvings older than time, pictures of humans standing against storms, against giants, against darkness itself. The images showed small figures facing horrors that should have crushed them. But always the humans stood tall, always. They fought until the end. Alara touched the wall, her voice low. "This is what it remembers, this is what it fears." The chamber shook, dust falling like rain. A roar thundered outside. Louder, closer than before, the monster had returned. And this time it was not alone. From the shadows of the ruins, strange creatures crawled, smaller than the beast but sharp and deadly, their bodies twisted and glowing with sick energy. They hissed and screeched, their eyes empty of thought. The monster's voice boomed across the ruins. "You awaken the chains," it growled. "These are the shadows of my prison. Born from my curse," the creatures charged, claws flashing. The crew opened fire, their weapons lighting up the darkness. Every blast echoed through the ruins, tearing into the twisted beasts. But no matter how many fell, more came crawling, Kai shouted, his voice breaking. "They are endless." Alara stood firm, firing without fear, her eyes blazing. "Then we will be endless too," she shouted. The monster froze, its glowing eyes wide. The words cut through it like fire through stone. In that moment it saw the same spirit it had faced in the past, the same unyielding flame. It roared, shaking the sky, and for the first time, the roar was not of rage, it was of despair. Because the fear was real, the fear of humans, the fear that they could never be broken. The battle raged in the ruins, but deep inside, the alien monster already knew. It was not the humans who should fear it. It was the galaxy that should fear the humans. The ruins burned with silence after the battle. The twisted creatures lay scattered across the broken stone, their bodies fading into ash. The humans stood in the middle of the wreckage, their weapons still hot, their chests rising and falling with exhaustion. Captain Alara wiped dust from her visor, her eyes sharp and unyielding. They had survived the endless swarm, but survival only raised more questions. The alien monster watched from the shadows, its glowing eyes fixed on the crew. It had not attacked, not truly. Instead, it had summoned the cursed creatures. It was testing them, measuring them, waiting to see if the humans would break. But the humans had not broken. They stood shoulder to shoulder. Bloodied but unbowed, the ground trembled, and the monster stepped into the open. Its massive body loomed over them, claws sparking as they scraped the stone. The crew raised their weapons once more, but the alien lifted its hand. "Enough," it rumbled, its voice deep as thunder. "You have proven your fire, but fire alone is not enough." The crew held their ground, tense but curious. "What do you want from us?" Alara demanded. The beast's eyes narrowed, glowing brighter. "You seek truth? You seek to know why I fear you," it said. "Then you must face the trial, the test of strength, the test of spirit." Its voice shook the ruins, and the ground split open beneath their feet. The humans stumbled back as the stone cracked apart. Beneath the ruins was a labyrinth of shifting tunnels, glowing with a strange light. The alien's voice echoed from every direction. "Enter, survive, and I will give you the truth." The crew exchanged uneasy looks, but Alara's voice cut through the fear. "We go together always," she said. And without hesitation they stepped into the dark. The labyrinth swallowed them whole. Walls of stone moved like living flesh, closing and opening new paths. The air was heavy, filled with whispers that clawed at the mind. Each whisper spoke of fear, of death, of betrayal. The humans gritted their teeth, pushing forward step by step. First came the traps, blades of stone slicing from the walls, pits opening beneath their feet. The crew moved with speed, saving one another from the edge of death. When one stumbled, another pulled them up. When one faltered, the rest carried them forward. The labyrinth wanted to separate them, but it could not, because humans held together. Then came the illusions. The walls glowed, showing visions of home. Earth shining blue, families smiling, voices calling them back. Some fell to their knees, tears in their eyes. But Alara's voice cut through the false comfort. "Do not listen. Do not break. These are lies meant to chain us," she said. And one by one they rose again, leaving the false earth behind. But the worst trial came at the end. They entered a chamber of mirrors. Each mirror showed a twisted version of themselves. Weak, broken, afraid, the mirrors whispered their darkest fears. "You are small," one said. "You will fail." Another hissed. "You are nothing against the stars," the last one laughed. The crew trembled, their hearts heavy with doubt. But then Kai stepped forward, his hand trembling yet strong. He smashed his fist into the mirror, shards scattering across the ground. "We are human," he shouted. "We do not break." "We do not stop," the others followed, smashing the mirrors, shattering the whispers, until nothing remained but dust. The labyrinth shook as if in pain. The walls crumbled, the ground split open, and from the dust rose the alien monster once more. Its glowing eyes burned brighter than before. It stared at the humans, its massive chest rising and falling. "You faced the trial," it said slowly. "You did not break. You did not bend." Its voice was heavy with something close to sorrow. "You are the same as the humans before, the same fire, the same storm." Alara stepped forward, her face lit by the strange glow of the ruins. "Then tell us the truth," she said, her voice cold and steady. "Tell us why we are the only ones you fear." The monster's claws scraped against the stone, sparks falling like fire. Its voice rumbled like an earthquake. "Because when all others begged for life, you humans smiled at death," it said. "You did not fight for power. You did not fight for glory. You fought for each other, and that cannot be defeated." The crew stood in silence, the weight of the words pressing into their bones. They had survived the test of strength, the labyrinth of fear, but now they understood something darker. The alien was not just their enemy, it was their mirror. It had been built to break spirits, but in humans, it found the one spirit it could never break. The ruins trembled again, the ground splitting wider. The alien stepped back, its eyes still burning. "This is only the beginning," it warned. "The galaxy will remember, and the galaxy will fear." And with those words, the monster vanished once more into the shadows. The crew stood together in the crumbling ruins. The test was over, but their journey was far from finished. They had proven their strength, but now they had to face the truth. And the truth was darker, heavier, and far more dangerous than they could have imagined. The ruins trembled long after the monster vanished. The humans stood together, bruised, tired, but unbroken. They had passed the trial. They had faced the illusions. But the cost of their courage was rising. The labyrinth had scattered them, and one of their own had not returned. Lieutenant Rin, the youngest of the crew, was missing. He had been pulled into a collapsing passage during the mirror chamber's destruction. The crew had searched, calling his name, but only silence answered. Now the ruins stood still, cold and endless, as if they had swallowed him whole. Kai slammed his hand against the stone wall, his voice sharp with frustration. "We can't just leave him." "Captain," he said, his eyes burning. Ilara's face was hard, but her voice carried the weight of command. "We will not leave anyone behind," she said. Her words cut through the fear like a blade, for humans had always been strongest when they refused to abandon each other. The crew began their search deeper into the broken city. Their lanterns lit the way through narrow passages. Walls lined with strange carvings, every corner echoed with whispers, as if the ruins themselves wanted to stop them. Yet still they pushed forward step by step. Then the ground shook. From the shadows rose the alien monster once more. Its eyes glowing like fire, its massive form blocked the path. Its voice thundered through the ruins. "Leave the lost one or all of you will fall," it growled. The crew froze, their weapons ready, their hearts pounding. But Ilara stepped forward, her voice steady. "No," she said. "We do not leave our own. Not ever." The alien's claws scraped the stone, sparks bursting at its feet. "You would risk everything for one?" it asked, its voice low with disbelief. Ilara's eyes did not waver. "Yes," she answered. "That is what it means to be human." For a long moment, the monster said nothing, its burning gaze locked on the humans. And in that silence it remembered long ago, when ancient humans had stood before it, they too had chosen each other over survival. They too had fought not for victory, but for one another. The memory shook the beast. A wound that never healed, but the trial was not over. The alien lifted its massive claw and struck the ground. The stone split open, revealing a chasm filled with fire and shadow. From its depths came more of the twisted creatures, crawling, hissing, hungry for blood. The path to Rin was clear, but it was guarded by death. The crew did not hesitate. They opened fire, their weapons blazing, light cutting through the dark. The creatures swarmed, claws flashing. But the humans stood shoulder to shoulder. When one fell back, another covered them. When one stumbled, another pulled them up. Step by step they pushed forward, refusing to stop. Kai's voice rose above the chaos. "Hold the line for Rin," he shouted. Their weapons burned hot. Their arms ached, but they never slowed. The ground was slick with ash and shadow. But still they pressed on. At last they reached the far side. There, chained in a prison of stone and light, was Rin. His body was weak, his eyes barely open, but he was alive. The crew rushed to him, breaking the chains. Lifting him up, Rin whispered, his voice cracked and faint. "You came back for me." Ilara placed a hand on his shoulder, her voice soft but firm. "Always," she said. "We do not leave family behind." The alien monster watched from the shadows, its glowing eyes wide, its massive chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. It had seen countless species abandon their weak. It had seen leaders sacrifice their own for survival, but never humans. Never the creatures who carried the unbroken flame. The beast stepped forward, its voice trembling. "Why?" it asked. "Why do you fight so hard for one when the galaxy will crush you all the same?" Ilara met its burning gaze, her words sharp as steel. "Because that is what makes us human," she said. "We fight for each other even when the world says it is hopeless." The ruins shook with her words. The alien staggered back as if struck. It saw in them the same spirit it had once faced long ago. The spirit that had burned brighter than any weapon. The spirit that even time itself could not erase. It let out a roar, but this roar was different. Not rage, not hunger, but confusion and despair. The sound shook the ruins, echoing through the endless night. "You cannot be defeated," the monster whispered, "because you do not know how to surrender." The humans stood together, Rin held safe in their arms. They were bruised, bleeding, but unbroken. And in that moment, the alien knew. It was not just the monster who tested the humans. It was the humans who tested the monster. And it was failing. The ruins grew still once more, the fire in the chasm fading to ash. The crew carried Rin back to their camp, their heads held high. They had proven more than strength. They had proven the human spirit, and the alien, hidden in the shadows, trembled not from anger, but from the truth it could not escape, that humans, fragile and small, carried a power greater than fear itself. The ruins were quiet after the battle. The air was heavy, filled with the smell of ash and stone. The crew gathered around the fire they had built inside the broken chamber. Rin rested against the wall, weak but alive. His eyes watching the flames, no one spoke. Because all of them carried the same thought, the alien monster had tested them again. And once again, it had failed to break them. Captain Alara sat apart from the others, her eyes sharp. Staring into the darkness beyond the fire, she knew the monster was still out there. Watching, waiting, torn between fear and rage. Her hand tightened on her weapon, but she also felt something else. A strange weight in her chest. The beast feared them, yes, but behind that fear was something more. A chain it could not break. The ground trembled and the shadows shifted. The crew rose to their feet, weapons ready, hearts pounding. The monster stepped forward from the ruins, its glowing eyes brighter than before. Its body was massive, but its movements were slow, almost heavy, as if each step was weighed down by invisible chains. Its voice rumbled low, carrying sorrow and fire together. "You should not be here," it said. "You awaken what must remain asleep." Alara did not flinch. She stepped closer, her voice sharp. "You keep saying that," she said, "but we will not leave until we know the truth." The monster's claws scraped the stone, sparks flying. "You do not understand," it growled. "I am not free. I am bound. I am cursed to guard what should never be seen." The humans looked at one another. For the first time, they saw not only a beast of war, they saw a prisoner, a creature chained to duty it did not choose. Kai whispered, his voice quiet but strong. "Who chained you?" The alien's eyes narrowed, its voice shaking with memory. "My makers," it said. "They built me for war. They unleashed me upon the stars. I destroyed worlds. I silenced fleets. I bathed galaxies in fire." Its body trembled, its massive claws curling tight. "But I was defeated, not by armies, not by gods, but by humans." Its voice dropped, heavy as stone. "They chained me here not out of mercy, but out of fear." The crew stood in silence, the truth pressing into their bones. The beast was not their enemy by choice. It was a weapon abandoned, locked away, forced to guard its own curse. Ilara's voice cut through the silence, calm but cold. "Then you are afraid because you remember," she said. "You remember that humans are the only ones who stood against you?" The monster let out a roar, but this roar was not of anger. It was of pain. The ruins shook, dust falling like rain. Its glowing eyes turned to the sky, its voice breaking. "You cannot imagine what it is to be chained forever, to carry fear as your master." Alara stepped forward, closer than before, her crew tensed, ready to pull her back, but she did not stop. She looked up at the massive beast, her voice firm. "Then let us free you," she said. The words hung in the air like lightning. The crew gasped, the alien froze. Its body trembling. "Free me," it repeated, its voice low, almost disbelieving. "Do you not see, human? Freedom for me means death for you." Alara's eyes narrowed, her voice sharp as steel. "Then so be it, we will face whatever comes. But no chain should last forever." The monster stared at her, its burning eyes shaking. For the first time in countless ages, it felt something strange. Not command, not duty, not rage, but hope. Hope born from the words of fragile creatures who should not have mattered, yet somehow mattered more than gods. The ruins trembled harder, the ground splitting open. The chains appeared, glowing, rising from the stone like serpents of fire. They wrapped around the beast's body, binding its arms, its legs, its chest. It roared in pain, its voice shaking the stars. "This is my curse," it thundered. "These chains will never release me." But the humans did not retreat. They stepped closer, weapons raised not in threat but in defiance. They fired at the chains, blasts of light striking the glowing links. The stone shook, the chains cracked, the alien roared louder, its body shaking as if the world itself would break. "You cannot," it cried. "No one can." Alara's voice cut through the chaos. "We are human," she shouted, "and we do not stop." Her words struck harder than any weapon. The crew joined her, firing again and again. The chains began to shatter, glowing shards falling like broken stars. The monster staggered, its massive form rising taller as the chains fell. Its eyes burned bright, its roar shook the ruins. At last the final chain broke. The air exploded with light. The ground cracked open. The ruins crumbled, the fire of ages spilling into the sky. The alien stood free for the first time in eternity. Its chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. It looked down at the humans, its voice trembling. "You have done what no one else could," it said. "You gave me freedom." But its voice grew darker, filled with warning. "And now? You must face the truth." Its eyes burned brighter than suns. "If even I fear you, then the galaxy will fear you too." The humans stood in silence, their weapons lowered, their hearts heavy. They had freed the beast, but in doing so, they had unleashed something greater. Not the monster, but the shadow of their own legend. The monster's choice was no longer its own. It had chosen freedom, but now the galaxy would have to choose. To fight humans or to fear them. The ruins burned with the light of broken chains. The alien monster stood tall, its massive body shaking as it breathed freedom for the first time. The humans gathered below, their faces pale in the glow of the fire that spread across the ancient city. They had done the impossible. They had freed the beast. But with freedom came something heavier than chains. The truth. Captain Alara raised her eyes to the towering figure. Her voice was steady, though her chest was tight. "You said we must face the truth," she said. "Then speak. Tell us why you fear us. Tell us why the galaxy will too." The monster's glowing eyes locked on her, filled with fire and sorrow. Its voice rumbled like a storm. "You humans do not understand your own shadow." The ground shook as the beast stepped closer. Its claws dug into the stone, cracking it like thin glass. "I have fought countless armies," it said. "I have destroyed gods and burned empires. I know what makes species weak. I know what makes them fall." Its massive head lowered, its burning gaze piercing the crew. "But humans are different. Humans are the storm that never ends." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Kai whispered, "What does that mean?" The beast's voice grew heavier. "Others fight for power, for wealth, for survival," it said. "But you fight for something greater. You fight for each other. You fight even when there is no reason left to fight." Its roar shook the ruins. "That is why you cannot be defeated." Alara's jaw tightened. Her eyes locked on the monster. "If we are so dangerous, then why fear us?" she demanded. The alien trembled, its voice breaking. "Because danger can be stopped, but spirit cannot," it said. "When you lose everything, you rise again. When you face death, you smile. When you are broken, you fight harder." Its voice fell to a whisper. "I fear you because you do not know how to end." The words struck the humans like thunder. They felt pride, but also a shadow of unease. Because if even this beast, this god of war, saw them as endless, what would the rest of the galaxy see? The ruins trembled again, cracks spreading across the ground. From the shadows, strange lights began to glow. The ancient machines of the city awakened, their voices like whispers carried on the wind. The monster looked around, its massive chest rising and falling. "The galaxy remembers," it said. "These ruins are not just my prison. They are a warning." The humans stared as the carvings on the walls lit up. Scenes of war spread across the stone. Every image showed humans, small, fragile, standing against horrors. Always fighting, always defiant, never surrendering. The monster's voice rumbled low. "This is the truth of fear. This is why your name is carved into the bones of worlds." Ilara touched the glowing wall, her voice quiet. "So long ago, humans were here," she said. The monster nodded, its eyes burning with memory. "Yes, and the galaxy has never forgotten. Even if you have," its claws dug into the stone, sparks flying. "Your kind will always rise, no matter the chain, no matter the cage, no matter the war. And that is why the galaxy fears you." The crew fell silent, the weight of the words pressing into their hearts. They had come chasing a simple distress signal, but they had uncovered something far greater. A legacy of fire, a shadow that stretched across time. The alien monster roared, its voice echoing like thunder across the ruins. "You freed me, but you also freed the truth," it said. "Now the galaxy will know you are here again." The ruins crumbled around them, towers falling, dust rising into the black sky. The humans rushed to their ship, carrying Rin with them. The ground split open, fire spilling from below, and still the monster stood, its massive form lit by the flames. As the ship rose into the air, Elara looked back, her eyes meeting the beast's one last time. The alien lifted its head, its roar shaking the stars. "Remember this, humans," it thundered. "The galaxy does not fear your weapons. It does not fear your strength. It fears the fire inside you. The fire that never dies." The crew stared in silence as the planet shrank beneath them. The words burned into their minds like a brand. They were not just explorers anymore. They were the return of a legend, and legends were feared in the darkness of space. The distress beacon still pulsed, not as a call for help, but as a warning. The humans were here and they could not be broken. And somewhere in the endless stars, whispers had already begun, whispers that would spread from world to world. The humans had returned, and the galaxy would never sleep easy again.